Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're looking at something absolutely fascinating, and honestly, it completely flipped how I think about fitness. Picture the most shredded, fit person you know, right? You're probably imagining someone chugging a protein shake, carefully tracking every single macro and just suffering away on a stair-stepper. But today we're going to explore this massive paradox. The idea that our ancient ancestors were incredibly fit, lean, and physically capable without ever, not even once, actually working out. Seriously, just think about that for a second. What if for 300,000 years, humans literally never went to a gym? I mean, we live in a world where we just naturally assume health and fitness required treadmills, heavy dumbbells, premium fitness apps, step counters, the whole shebang. But our ancestors, they had absolutely none of those things. The whole concept of, paying a monthly fee to put on special clothes, drive to a building, and sweat in a designated room just by repeatedly picking up heavy iron, that would have seemed absolutely hilarious to them. No way would they get it. And yet, they were in peak physical condition. So how was that even possible? To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at the sheer scale of human history. 300,000 years. For nearly 300,000 years, deliberate exercise just simply did not exist. Our ancestors never woke up and decided, hey, I'm going to jog 5 kilometers before breakfast to burn some calories. They didn't schedule a leg day. They definitely didn't obsessively monitor their resting heart rates. And yet, despite never doing a single scheduled workout in their lives, the average person thousands of years ago was stronger, leaner, and just way more physically capable than the average modern person today. So, what exactly changed? Well, let's dive into this because it represents a massive paradigm shift. You see, modern exercise is something we do on purpose, right? It's deliberate. It's kind of viewed as a scheduled chore, a dedicated block on your calendar for a gym session or a mapped out run. But ancient movement? That was incidental. It was just the unavoidable cost of survival. If our ancestors wanted food, well, they had to walk for it. If they wanted water, they had to physically carry it. Wanted a shelter? They had to build it with their own 2 hands. Their entire lives were the workout. And physiologically, this is huge because our bodies actually interpret a sudden lack of movement as a signal to shut down metabolic processes. Ancient movement was literally just life itself, and that single difference changed everything about how the human body developed. Now, you might be wondering, how do we actually know all of this with such certainty? Well, we don't have to guess. The secret is written right there in the bones. Let's transition over to the forensic side of this explainer and look at what archaeologists have discovered after decades of studying ancient human skeletons. What's really interesting about this is how these skeletal remains didn't belong to some ancient Olympic athletes. Nope, they belonged to utterly ordinary people. Archaeologists consistently find that ancient human skeletons have remarkably denser bones. Plus, their muscle attachment points are far more pronounced, which points to incredibly strong musculature across the board. And their leg bones? They show very distinct evidence of years of walking across uneven, rugged landscapes. Again, these were just ordinary farmers, hunters, gatherers, parents, and kids. Their skeletons serve as this undeniable proof that they spent decades moving their bodies every single day. To really visualize this, let's walk through a day in the life thousands of years ago. Imagine waking up in a prehistoric camp. It's 5 a.m. before sunrise, and you're already walking several kilometers just searching for food. You're climbing hills, ducking beneath branches, navigating all this uneven terrain that required constant core stability just to stay upright. By noon, you're doing what we'd basically call farmer's carries today, hauling heavy firewood, lifting stones, collecting fruit, carrying water all the way back home. And at 6 p.m., you aren't clocking out to go sit on a couch. You're helping build shelter, prepping food, caring for children. By sunset, you've moved almost every muscle in your body. Not because you wanted to hit a fitness goal, but because survival absolutely demanded it, from sunrise to sunset. Which brings us to a really crucial definition. When we look at that daily timeline, it's super clear our ancestors weren't out there doing intense interval training or, maxing out their deadlifts. They were engaging in constant, moderate movement. Think of it as the ultimate low-intensity, steady-state cardio, repeated for hours on end. And here's the key takeaway. That constant, moderate movement is exactly the environment our human bodies evolved for. We were literally built to move consistently throughout the entire day, not just in short, intense little bursts followed by hours of stillness. And this brilliantly illustrates the modern movement crisis we find ourselves in right now. Today, our technology has basically outsourced almost all of those necessary survival movements. We drive instead of walk, we take elevators instead of stairs, we tap a little button to order food on our phones instead of physically going out to collect it. So, sure, a health-conscious person today might spend a dedicated hour exercising, but that single hour, it's completely dwarfed by 15 waking hours of just sitting and being totally sedentary. A body that evolved for constant, rolling movement now spends almost its entire day trapped in a chair. Now, let's be absolutely clear here. Going to the gym is incredibly beneficial. Strength training builds necessary muscle, running improves your cardiovascular fitness, modern exercise absolutely works. But as we've seen from our ancestors, it's kind of not enough on its own. Our ancestors accumulated movement all day long, and research shows that frequent baseline daily movement is what really helps regulate blood sugar, improves circulation, keeps a healthy metabolism firing, and keeps our muscles actively engaged. So the healthiest lifestyle isn't a zero-sum game between the gym and the couch. It's about marrying deliberate exercise with a highly active, dynamic daily life. And hey, we can't just talk about adults here because this evolutionary mismatch starts incredibly early. Ancient children obviously didn't have smartphones to keep them occupied. Their childhood was spent climbing trees, running through forests, carrying small loads, and just exploring nature. Every single game they played naturally developed their balance, coordination, strength, speed, and endurance. Their playground was literally the natural world itself. Compare that to today. Kids spend far more time sitting indoors with screen time, which drastically affects bone development, overall fitness, and really compromises their natural posture. For ancient kids, movement wasn't a scheduled PE class. It was childhood itself. But all this movement is only half the equation. How did they recover? Well, ancient humans relied on a deeply natural recovery cycle. Step 1, a full day of physical work. Step 2, resting in the evening completely without the artificial glare of bright screens, endless scrolling, or late-night notifications spiking their cortisol levels. And Step 3, deep, uninterrupted sleep that allowed muscles, bones, and tissues to fully recover and rebuild. Movement actively supported their sleep, and deep sleep actively supported their movement the very next day. It was this perfectly balanced, powerful cycle that our modern, technology-filled lifestyles just continually interrupt. So the crucial point is, you definitely don't need to go out and hunt mammoths to reclaim your health. We can simply empower ourselves by looking backward to move forward. Adopting these highly actionable habits right now can make absolutely all the difference. Carry your groceries instead of using a cart whenever it's safe to do so. Kind of think of it as your modern-day foraging carry, right? Walk more, take the stairs, stand more often, spend time outdoors, and generally just sit less. These simple, everyday habits beautifully recreate so many of the natural movement patterns that humans evolved with over thousands of generations. Because remember, our bodies haven't actually changed much at all. It's our environment that's changed. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. The human body was designed for movement, not for chairs. Ancient humans didn't skip the gym. The gym simply wasn't necessary for them because their everyday lives naturally provided all the physical exertion their bodies required. The great lesson here isn't to abandon modern life and go live in a cave somewhere. It's to realize the incredible untapped potential of the body you inhabit right now. Look at your own daily routine. Where can you trade just 20 minutes in a chair for 20 minutes of movement? So what's it going to be for you today? Thanks for exploring this with me on The Explainer. Now get up, stretch those legs, and keep moving.